What's up, guys? It's Coach Gaglione here. This is another edition of our Gags Goals Updates. It's a Road to 198 series. So at the time of this taping, I'll be kind of starting up my next phase of diet. I did about, about 3 weeks in, going on 4 weeks in of just doing like a little kind of keto. We're doing like a keto Christmas challenge at the gym with a couple of people. And while I certainly am not following a true like ketogenic diet by any means, because the protein's probably too high, just wanted to go a little low carb for a bit, just kind of reset my body and just challenge myself a little bit different. I did see some results, some pretty good results. Going into the last weeks of my training for my Road to 220 series and my last meet at Slingshot Record Breakers. At the end of prep, I was probably sitting around 235 most mornings, and I'm sitting around probably 230 pounds now. Now that being said, I'm sure my glycogen is not as full, and once I kind of reintroduce carbs, some water weight will kind of come back. But I've been keeping my sodium pretty high, and I've been trying to hydrate pretty well. And the in-body has been reading. I've had my last two in-body readings have been my two best in-body readings so far. So broke under 20% for the first time in the in-body, which was great. Again, which is not monumentally lean by any means, but it's the leanest I've recorded. And muscle mass has been pretty constant. So plan on probably getting another DEXA scan at some point early 2019. Maybe I'll wait a little bit. Like I mentioned before, I have a lot of travel plans in 2019. I have more weekends that are booked and free for sure. I have plans up until April, taking some different courses, some seminars, some travel. So I'm really excited to kind of see what's going to go on, but I know it's going to be a challenge. Just kind of juggling some training between the holidays, between the travel, between the courses I'm taking, between the places I'm going to be coaching, the events I have going on. So it's going to be a very tremendous challenge. A very tremendous challenge for me, and it's not going to be easy. But I'm going to do my darnest to get in striking distance of 198 class. And if you watch my previous videos, the same kind of thing happened for my meet at 242 last April, and for my meet at 220 this past November. So I'm looking for the challenge. I'm just looking to drop another 15 pounds or so. Nothing too crazy, 10 to 15 pounds, just so I could be in with striking distance of a water cut. I'm also going to probably seek out some help for my weight cut and replenishment this time. I'm not sure who I'm going to use, but I'm kind of seeking out some people, so there'll be more information about that later on. And I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. So just in addition to that, I thought this would be worth a mention. I got my precision nutrition. So this is, I think founder is Dr. John Berardi. I saw Dr. John Berardi probably close to over 10 years ago. I remember at a Perform Better Summit. I've had a lot of his books, learning about nutrition early on, even when I was in my high school years, just for helping my wrestling performance and things like that. Nutrition is something I've always struggled with, and I continue to struggle with. And I know since I've made this tremendous weight loss transformation, and for those of you guys, it's the first time watching, I've been as heavy as 340 pounds. I'm down to about 230 pounds. So a lot of people have been asking me about nutrition advice and consultations and things like that. So I wanted to make sure that even though I have a personal training certification and I've been in the field for well over a dozen years, I wanted to kind of take my education to the next level, and I didn't feel like before I started nutrition coaching officially and things like that, I wanted to at least get a base level certification, and if nothing else, improve my knowledge. So I'm about maybe 40% done with the course, and I'll probably give some more feedback on anything I learned and things like that. But one of the things I really love about the precision nutrition, besides that it's science-based, a lot of research in here and things like that, it's very flexible and practical, and also goes over a lot of habit changes and things like that. And I think when it comes to nutrition, it's really all about your habits at the end of the day. Because if you could have this perfect program, and same thing with training, the perfect diet, whatever that may be. If you can't adhere to it, it doesn't match your lifestyle and your goals, and it's not something you can actually sustain long term, it doesn't really matter. So I think it's really important that we apply that knowledge that we learn, but also just do it in a systematic way and just kind of progress things over time, having those micro progressions, just like we do with our training. So that's a little bit about what I'm doing as far as my education and moving forward. And I'm hoping that the knowledge I learned from this course will also translate well onto my road to 198. Moving forward into as far as my training, this will probably be my last beltless week of training. I've consistently improved all my lifts. I started at very, very modest weights. just getting back into, closing in on like, just the 400-pound range, which is nothing substantial, obviously, for someone, that's trying to squat over 800 pounds next meet. But I've just been doing sets of 8 and things like that. Been doing a lot of beltless work with squats and deadlifts. And then on bench press, if you guys watched my Road to 220 series and the meet at Slingshot Record Breakers, I did have some slight tears in my shoulder, and with the help of Dr. Alberry, basically almost back to 100%. I did 225 pounds for 8 pause reps this week on the bench press, overhead pressing without any pain, incline pressing, also in the 225 range. So nothing earth-shattering, but no pain. Everything's feeling good. So I'm looking to kind of continue to progress. I'm being very careful and very methodical with the linear progression, especially on my upper body work. But I plan on kind of starting to push things a little bit more, because I do want to do some suit testing and shirt testing come around Christmas and New Year's time, so I can kind of see, because obviously my body weight has changed, my body has changed, still ever changing. So I'm going to kind of test out some different shirts and suits and see what fits better. I'll probably still end up squatting in the metal canvas, but I might have a different brief underneath. I'm definitely going to try out a different deadlift suit, more of a polyester type suit, so it's a little bit easier to get in starting position. And the bench shirt is still a question mark, so I'm going to get some help with that. I'm going to enlist some help from some of my buddies and some people that are a little bit better in the bench shirt than myself. So that being said, I will start to introduce the belt back into my training, and maybe some tighter knee sleeves, some tighter knee wraps and things like that, just so I don't go from, I don't want to go from squatting, 400 pounds to, having 600-700 pounds in my back. I want to progress a little bit more slowly, so I'll start to add a belt back in so I can get back probably into the 500-pound range for my squats and deadlifts, and then I can progress into my equipped training. Just like anything else, part of it is prepping your body, making sure we're getting muscular stimulus during a hypertrophy phase. But when you're doing equipped lifting, also it's important to make sure your nervous system is ready. So although I'll still be kind of doing sets of 6 to 8 range for a lot of my work, we'll probably do some heavier overloading sets as well, just to make sure my nervous system is kind of ready for myself to get back in gear. So starting to add the equipment back in, practicing knee wraps and things like that will definitely be on the forefront of my training moving forward. I'm also going to do some fun things. I'm kind of debating. I'm definitely going to Super Training Classic again at the beginning of the year. So whether I end up just helping out, or maybe I'll end up competing in the slingshot division just to light a little fire to improve my bench press a bit. So I think obviously if the slingshot bench press is a very good indicator lift for a shirted bench. If your slingshot bench goes up, your shirted bench should go up as well. It's a good indicator lift. It's a good builder, in my opinion, for shirted bench, and just a good training tool. So that I might, throw my hat in there and just do it as like a fun thing. I'm definitely going to kind of go out there and visit my friends on the West Coast for sure. That'll be in February. So again, whether I end up helping out or competing, we'll see. So that's a possibility. And other things I'll be doing this weekend, so I'll try to get some footage of it. My buddy CJ at ATS Strength in the Dirty Jers, doing a charity event. So I didn't really train for this, but I know there's some pull-ups, a prowler challenge, and a trap bar deadlift. I haven't really trained. I've been doing some pull-ups here and there, but just gonna do it for fun. So I'm gonna, quote unquote, like mess around a little bit in my training for the next couple of weeks. And then as we get closer, we get to like 8 to 10 weeks out from my contests. This is worth noting for anyone else. So some people that really like variety in their training, or maybe you're a powerlifter that maybe likes to do some type of Metcons work, so maybe you like to do some strongman training, or maybe you like to do some CrossFit, or some yoga, or running. Whatever the case may be, if you like or if you like weightlifting, let's say if powerlifting is your primary kind of goal and your primary sport, your primary activity that you care about the most, that's your highest priority. I do think it's important to do some general training in the off season to build a good foundation, to be a more well-rounded athlete, but also just to switch things up for your mind, to switch things up. So one of the things that I'm going to be, like I said, doing some of these challenges. Part of being an athlete is just learning to compete, so doing some of these impromptu challenges. As long as your body's ready for it and it's not something like, you're not just kind of doing an 800-pound deadlift out of the blue, of course, but doing some of these, just learning to compete and learning to kind of rise to the challenge even when you're not peaked, I think can be of value. Obviously do this intelligently, and if you're working with a coach, make sure that, you let your coach know you're doing these things. But yeah, just challenging. So something, for example, like just testing out I'm going to test out my max pull-ups this weekend, my max chin-ups this weekend. There's not really a high cost for that, but there is still some sort of competitive demand and on the mind and things like that. So Whereas something like I'm going to try like a 900-pound deadlift, for example, that might be more costly, but I could do something with like a prowler push, very low cost, but there's still like some sort of a psychological benefit and just a fun factor to it. So I'm going to do some of these charity events in these kind of, what I would say, more kind of fun contests before, and then as I get closer to the contest, basically if you have a very high, so my meet is on April 6th in Pennsylvania. Right now it's still December of 2018, so I have a good amount of time. So when you're over here, when you're really far away from a contest, you can have more what I would call training flexibility, where you can kind of throw in some extra work, you can throw in some extra conditioning. Your training doesn't need to be as specific. It may not even need to be as organized, depending on how lofty your goal is. If you have a loftier goal, then maybe you need to stick to the plan a little bit more. But definitely as you get closer to the contest, your training flexibility gets narrower and narrower. And when you're definitely like 4 to 6 weeks out from meet, you really should put a premium on your recovery and all that stuff. In my case, that's maybe not going to be 100% possible because I have like one of my guys is getting married. We have the Arnold Classic that I coach. They're coaching close to 10 lifters at. And Columbus for the XPC finals and things like that. But I'm going to do the best job I can to really narrow my focus and make sure my training is super dialed in, my recovery is super dialed in the best I can. Obviously, I'm a coach first, and obviously my weight loss is also coming first before my strength. But strength is still a very high priority for me, and my performance is still a very high priority for me. So as I get closer to the contest, I'm going to be more and more mindful about my diet, my nutrition, my sleep, stress management, and overall training, just adhering to the training program the best I can. So yeah, I think that's basically it. We'll get some footage. So we'll start to get a little bit more training lifts because again, there's really nothing too exciting of me like doing beltless work with like 300 or 400 pounds, or me getting post injury of benching 225 is nothing really too exciting. But I'm progressing week to week. I'm still getting leaner. I'm really excited to get carbs back. Hooray! Going to introduce rice back into training. I'm so excited. It's like sounds crazy, but sometimes you need to deprive yourself of things and you kind of appreciate it a little bit more. So I'm really excited to introduce some rice back into my training. If you are someone that's done a keto diet or done a low carb diet before, one of the mistakes I've made in the past is adding too many carbs too soon. So I'm going to transition slowly. I'm just going to have some carbs pre-workout, and then I'll eventually, after a week or two, I'll probably add in carbs pre and post-workout, and then I'll probably transition to a little bit more of like a vertical-ish type diet where I'm having meat and rice throughout the day, focusing on a lot of vegetables and micronutrients, having that daily carrot, if you know what I'm saying, all that good stuff that Stan promotes. So, and that'll be kind of consistently what I'll do. And again, not to say that I'm following the vertical diet specifically, but just if you guys want to get an idea of how I'm going to be eating, and we have a lot of other days of like a day in the life of eating with gags and stuff. If you want to check out some future episodes, we'll try to put those links in the description if you want to check out like what my diet kind of consists of. So that's kind of what's on the horizon for training, for my life, for lifting and everything else in between nutrition-wise. I have a lot of stuff going on. This year has been really tough for me. I'm really excited to end 2018 with a bang and start 2019 off on the right foot. I'm really excited what's to come. Other things that are kind of coming up, if you guys want to learn a little bit more about our methods, we have our Powerlifting for the People seminar, January 19th. And we'll definitely include a link for there. So we'll definitely take care of any one of the listeners here that find our link through the podcast. Just let us know that you found it through the podcast or through the YouTube channel, and we'll get some extra goodies and bonuses for you for sure. So that's basically it. Again, nothing too exciting, but we have a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon. So I'm really excited for you to follow me along this journey. So make sure you subscribe if you want to follow us long term. If you liked the video, please share it. Definitely check out the links below. And until next time, guys, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.